PDP, you can start asking the participants to join this group.
Is every participant here ready?
No, not any one of them. If we write in the chat box, do they get the message or not? No, right?
No. 1 more minutes, right? Maybe sis. Sambil menunggu sambil berjudi. Maaf
Dah boleh kau join the breakout room juga sebenarnya.
Sakut.
Kau join the breakout room, dalam the quality room, and then say that korang dah kena join room ni.
Right. Alright, is everyone here? Government team, are your teams enough? The opposition team?
The government is enough. You're all here from government.
Opposition team? DBH team, everyone's here already?
Yes, you're here.
Everyone's here. Right, wait. Good evening, everyone. I welcome everyone in this room today to the Inter-Faculty Debate Competition on the topic, "This House Would Punish Parents Who Smoke in the Presence of Their Children." I am Selina and I will be acting as your moderator for today's debate session. Before we start today's debate, I would like to introduce our esteemed judge who will evaluate the performance of the debater, which is Mr. Anis from Abu Bakar School. And now that we have met our judges, let me introduce our debate teams who will be competing today. Let's welcome the government and opposition team. The government team will be supporting today's motion, while the opposition team will be rejecting the motion given. The government team consists of before that, the government team, you have like another members, right? Can you please rewrite your name?
Yeah, sure.
And please open the camera. As well as used the background that have been given before for the opponent or the opposition and government side.
I'm so sorry, but I'm unable to use the background because my tab currently.
Can you come again?
I cannot use the background that was given because my tab doesn't have the capacity.
All right.
Thank you.
Right, the government team will be supporting to this motion, while the opposition team will be rejecting the motion given. The government team consists of Selva as the Prime Minister, Sugan as the Deputy Prime Minister, and Dia as the government whip. Moving on to the opposition team, we have Amira as leader of opposition, Adam as deputy leader of opposition, and lastly, Sri as opposition whip. Before we start, I would like to remind you of some rules that we need to follow during this debate. Each speaker will have 7 minutes to deliver their speech. You may not interrupt your opponent when they are speaking, except for points of information during said time. Points of information allowed after the first minute and before the last minute. Be mindful of your words and be polite as you speak. Each speaker has a maximum time of 30 seconds to finish their sentences. Failure to do so will have your team's mark deducted. To give out POI, make sure to turn on your camera and click the raise hand button. The flow of the debate is such the Prime Minister will begin with her speech, followed by the Leader of Opposition, Then the Deputy Prime Minister will continue the speech, followed by the Leader of Opposition. The government whip will begin her speech right after. Lastly, the first or second speaker of each team will conclude the debate by giving out the replying speech. Before we begin, I'd like to remind each speaker to state how they like to receive POI in the chat box or mic. POI in the chat box means debater who wants to ask just write POI in the chat box, not the question. Question must be asked verbally. We will now begin today's debate on motion. This house would punish parents who smoke in the presence of their children. Let's welcome the Prime Minister to deliver her speech.
Greetings to the honorable judges, facilitators, and my fellow participants. Today's title is about, in today's title, this house firmly believes that we should punish parents who smoke in front of their children. Before continuing the debate, I would like to define the motion. So, the keyword here is punish, and in front of children is basically
Sorry.
about
Sorry, Salva, your mic is dead. So maybe you can try to sort that out and ask us again, and are you audible or not? Okay? Try again. No, still no.
We cannot hear you clearly. It's either your mic lagging or your line.
how about now? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, but then speaker or mic is like cracked.
Let me try joining my phone. Hello? Hello, can you guys hear my voice?
Yes, but then your voice is still cracking. Do you have like
I think
earphones?
I think this one is better. Try cakap lagi banyak.
Can you try speak more?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
All right, yours. Now you may start your speech.
All right. Here we go. Greetings to the honorable judges, facilitators, and to my fellow participants. Today, we would like to firmly address here that this house punishes parents whom smoke in front of their children. Before continuing with the debate, I would like to define the motion. Now, the keywords here would be punish. So, how are we going to implement the term punish in this debate? So, let's take a look at what does the definition of punishment. So, punishment defines as an inflict a penalty or sanction on someone as retribution for an offense, especially a transgression of a legal or moral code. In this case, the offense here is, ladies and gentlemen, is clearly smoking in front of their children. So, in this case, the government would like to implement 3 different types of punishment, which would be fine, and then separating the children from the parents and putting them in foster care, in a better care. And other than that, primarily, we would like to implement a new method, which would be sending the parents forcefully to a rehabilitation center. Now, before the opposition team even comes with the argument that forcing parents going to a rehabilitation center is going against their personal rights, we are aware that smoking is one's personal right. But do note that there is the involvement of an even more important party here, which are the children. Then who will fight for the innocent kids? So now to my first argument. I would like to talk about how parents are the first role model and how it would be such a bad influence on children. And my second speaker and my deputy prime minister would talk about how smoking in front of children is a form of abuse. Now to my first argument. Parents automatically, when they smoke in front of their children, they become a bad example to their children. Children are easily influenced in their growing stages. They imitate the people around them because they cannot differentiate between right and wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to emphasize here that when you are a child, your father is literally your hero, and your mom is literally the most trustable person you could ever find. Therefore, they perceive the actions they see around them, their parents, as the way things should be. Besides that, teenagers who see people smoke in public take it as precedent to start smoking as well. There is a saying that goes, monkey see, monkey do, which tells us that people imitate the actions of, of others as they see it in their daily lives. Teenagers happen to think that smoking makes a person cool. When they see adults doing it on streets, it strengthens their beliefs in their coolness of smoking. Some teenagers think that smoking marks their transition into adulthood and maturity. Hence, more teenagers start smoking due to the influence of seeing other people smoke in public places. Now, to back this up, there is an evidence based on Columbia University Mailman School of Public Health. The authority found out that 13% of people whose parents never smoked, they said they had ever smoked at least one cigarette. By comparison, 38% of teens whose parents was dependent on nicotine had smoked at least one cigarette. So, parents who are supposed to be their role model here are teaching them that smoking is fine, and this would automatically implement that parents are do that what parents are normalizing smoking and everything. And we as the government believe that this is a very wrong belief, and smoking is a very, very bad habit that should be banned. But in this case, parents who smoke in front of children, smoking, this this act can be punished if it is taken to an extreme measure. Now, that is only about influence. What about the children's mental health? What about the children's physical health? Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to once again press here that considering the main stakeholder here is the children, the safety of the children should be the main priority in this debate. So, with that, I would like to once again reinstate my stance, which would be this House, it firmly believes that punishing parents who smokes in front of children is the right choice. And with that, I rest my case. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Prime Minister, for your speech. Now we will hear from the leader of opposition.
Sorry to interrupt. Dear humble judges and everyone here. My first speaker is actually going through a little bit of internet issues, so will you give us a bit of time to clear she settles that? Sorry in advance.
All right, so we'll be giving 5 minutes for your teammate to be back. All right, 5 minutes only.
Hello, testing. Am I audible?
Yes.
Alright, I'm so sorry for the delay. There seems to be a problem. And as for the POI, you guys may speak directly to your mic if you guys want to give POI. And if my internet is good, I might hear you. If I don't respond, it most likely means I do not hear you. Okay. Okay, so I'll be starting in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, we have no room in our hearts for hatred and frankly do not have time for tolerance. So, Assalamualaikum and a very good day. I bid to the wise judge, Mr. Anis, my loyal teammates, Adam and Sri, fellow government side, and everybody in this room. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this side of the debate where action of today strongly oppose the motion of today, which is this house would punish parents who smoke in the presence of their children because we believe in implementing extreme punishments is not the answer. Ladies and gentlemen, in many nations, it is currently against the law to smoke in public spaces. We know that protecting non-smokers from exposure to secondhand smokes, supporters see it as a logical and necessary step to also have a law prohibiting parents from potentially harming their children by smoking in the home environment. If we don't allow people to smoke in public because they might endanger the lives of non-smokers nearby, then it seems logical, technically logical, if you want to occur those in favor to have a law prohibit parents from potentially harming their own children by smoking in the home environment. And it is now commonly acknowledged that secondhand smoke is quite extremely harmful to children's health, since like children are yet to have developed their own anatomy. So some medical professionals think that it might be right, even be more hazardous than smoking itself. However, ladies and gentlemen, there is more to this. So before I continue with my speech, allow me to give you a preview of what I'm going to do in my speech first. And with that, first of all, I thank you to the Prime Minister for giving a wonderful definition. But however, I would love to know like, how would you define this punishment specifically for today's
Excuse
motion?
me.
Like, how would you guys define it? Like, is it through the fine? Is it through suing? Or is it through physical punishment? Like, how do you define it clearly on how you want to apply this motion itself? Then, other than that, she defined it clearly for us as well. Then, I'm going to state my points and do the rebuttals for the opponent side. Yes. I'll be continuing then. I am still audible, right? Okay, I'll be continuing then. If it's POI, please say the word POI. Otherwise, I won't understand. So, furthermore, from our side, we have structured our case as follows. I, as the first speaker, will talk more about breach of privacy, legal consistency, and basically safety of the children. And our second speaker, Adam, will elaborate more on how we would suggest this motion to be applied. And our third speaker, Sri, will do the rebuttals. Ladies and gentlemen, such a policy may contain that shielding children from the harms of second-hand smoke
Timekeeper, may you pause the time? The person is missing.
testing. Sorry. Is it like okay to start over or should I continue?
Diane, may she start over or continue with the speech?
Depends on the judge. What about Mr. Anis? Do you want her to continue or start over?
I think it's best if she continues, I guess.
Right.
Continue then.
Okay. Okay, then I will continue in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, such a policy's proponents may contend that shielding children from the harms of secondhand smoke is their greatest best, and that parents who fail to do so need to face legal repercussions such as fines or other penalties that has been suggested by the Prime Minister. And that but however, we believe that the government should not regulate what parents do in their own homes according to this point of views critics, and punishing parents for smoking in front of their children might violate their right to their own privacy. Once again, I repeat, ladies and gentlemen, privacy. Rather than punishing the parents of doing so, basically, like what's part of their human right, it is better to set a regulation where the parents are not extremely punished in a way which is not been clearly defined by the Prime Minister from what I have heard. And for that, we have already created our own solution for this, which will be further elaborated by the second speaker. So, back to privacy. Ladies and gentlemen, today's motion is about punishing parents who smoke in the presence of their children. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about this, where do you think the parents will be and the children will be? Most of the time, they will be at home. So, how do you intend to keep on tabs on the parents' behavior? How do you intend to know, like, if they smoke within the child's vicinity? Are you going to put CCTV in their own house, ladies and gentlemen? Is that what are you trying to? Is that how you're going to execute this motion of yours? If not, then please try to clear me out about how you're going to apply this sort of motion. Other than that, this is also a complicating issue. You are basically complicating the issue that is in this legal debate of a parent's privacy right of not only to smoke in their own home, but how to raise his or her child without the intervention from the state. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I repeat, it is obviously currently against the law to smoke in public areas. So, like, they can't smoke in the public areas. And right now, you can't even smoke at home. So, there will be other ways to suggest a way to execute this. All right, so I'm gonna continue back again. So, ladies and gentlemen, 1, 2, 3. So, as the leader of opposition of today, I strongly oppose of the motion today, which is this House punish parents who smoke in the presence of their children, because we believe that implementing extreme punishment is not the answer. And as I mentioned before in my previous points, it is breaching privacy, like I mentioned before, like how are the governments going to keep on tabs on the parents? How are they going to apply those punishment themselves? And we believe in the legal consistency. If you want to put some if you're going to put some law towards it, like how would you apply it? And then again, like I would want a better solution, a better regulation that will be given from the government themselves. So once again, I am going to reinstate my stance, which is we believe implementing extreme punishment is not the answer. And with that, I rest my case.
All right, continue. All right, thank you for the Prime Minister for your thoughtful speech. Now let's hear from the Deputy Prime Minister. You have 7 minutes to present your case. Sorry.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yep, yes.
All right. I'll start my speech in 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Good evening, good day to the floor members, ladies and gentlemen, to the judge, the timekeeper, and also the moderator. Let me restate what our house stands for. And our house stand believes that this house would punish parents who smoke in the presence of their children. And this has been clearly explained by our Prime Minister that why or the reason behind this. Before going to my first argument, I would like to rebut a few points from the Leader of Opposition. One of the main points of Leader of Opposition is the breach of privacy and the legal inconsistencies. One, the question was, how would we regulate parents in their houses? Well, the reason is you do not need to regulate parents in their houses. It is a common sense that parents should not smoke in front of their children. As a simple human being, you should know that you should not harm your children in any way possible. By smoking in front of the children, you are not only introducing them to various toxins and chemicals via smoking, but also endangering their lives. And this not only affects the children's health, but also the surrounding community. For an example, if you're smoking in a house, I'm pretty sure the smoke travels all around. And not only this, let's say it's just one house. Let's say multiple houses do the same thing. It's going to affect the whole neighborhood, let's say the whole few houses, the neighboring houses. That will make complaints, and that could be used against the parents to regulate them. And the next point was privacy. Yes, I agree to the concern of privacy. Every person in this world needs their privacy and have their own rights. But my point here is, or my rebuttal is, what the hell? Okay, I'm sorry. So my point is the privacy. Yes, I agree that everyone should have their own privacy, but it shouldn't be the cost of one's life. You are costing your children's life for your own privacy. There are many cases in this world or in this country to smoke. Yes, smoking is banned in public spaces, but there are only one public spaces you can go smoke. You could go to secluded areas where you could go smoke, or in a very open space where there's nobody or no children there, which will not harm any single person. Now, I would like to introduce my first point, that smoking or parents smoking in front of children is a form of child abuse. The reason I'm saying this, and before I go to the reason, I would like to define the word child abuse. What does child abuse mean? Child abuse is basically a physical or psychological maltreatment or a neglect of the child's needs. This correctly contributes when one parent smokes in front of the children. How? When you're smoking of the children, we all know, as the the leader of opposition already explained that passive smoking has its own disadvantages and it is bad for the health. And thus, smoking in front of children is going to harm the children, right? It's common sense. Why would you smoke in front of the children? You would rather go somewhere outside and smoke. But no, you're going to smoke in front of the children. And this is a form of neglecting your child. A parent should provide and care and nurture their parents and not destroy them and kill them by smoking in front of them and their passive smoking. This also contributely acts as child abuse. Well, there's one law that we already passed, the Child Act of 2001, which is a fine not more than 50,000 and 20 years of imprisonment if one has been found guilty to abusing their children. This could be the base. This is the base for our argument today. This could be implemented. Same for our motion today, that if we found a parent to be actually burdening or torturing the children by passive smoking, this could be implemented. And that's what we meant by punishing them. Next up, I would like to explain the effects of passive smoking and why do I call it a child abusing act. First, we know that, as previously mentioned many times, that secondhand smoking is way more dangerous than direct smoking. Why? Because direct smokers have a filters that filters most of the chemical components. I'm not saying it's not dangerous for them, it is. but the smokes that are exhaled out and the smokes that are coming off the tip of the butt are way more potent in the chemical substances, which could affect the secondary smoker. For example, it could induce asthma, bronchitis, respiratory problems, pneumonia, and the most unexpected one I've never seen before is the sudden infant death syndrome, or called SIDS, for children below 1 year old and infant child. Doesn't seem cruel to actually bother your child or kill your child by just smoking in front of them. Why? So by listening to the arguments to the leader of opposition, I see that the opposition more prefers privacy than one's life. I do not understand that statement at all, and I find that statement very, very nonsensical, to be honest. I'm sorry. But furthermore, this also affects a child's welfare, right? And the reason is this also brings out a moral failure of the parents. A parent should, as I previously said, a parent should care and take care of their children. They should not kill their children. By doing this, you are disembedding your children's welfare. And by punishing them, we meant, like the deputy minister said, we would be having a serious rehabilitation center for parents who are caught in doing this. So, previous question by the the leader of opposition, how will we keep tabs on children? We all know that children go to dentist checks in schools, right? They do regular checkups in school. When when you are taking those statistics, when even one of those checkups, the nurses or the doctors are allowed or must or should be asked whether their parents are smokers or non-smokers, and they will take on histories. This would explain the child's reasoning. For an example, let's say for a medical checkup that happens in primary school in the year standard 4 and standard 5, if not mistaken. I might be mistaken, so please point me out if I am. And this would prove that the children are indeed suffering. These sufferings will be directly linked to the children if the parents are found to be smokers and smoking in front of the children. This is one way we could keep track of the parents smoking. And the other part is, I would like to give a more compelling statistics which proves that this actually kills children. A study done in 2021, July 1st, a passive smoking, the cause of passive was actually responsible for 50,000 deaths and 40% of disability adjusted life among children in year under 14 years old. This, I hope, proves enough point that our house believes in, which is I would like to reinstate our house's stance, which is we firmly believe that we would punish parents who smoke in the presence of their children. Thank you.
All right, thank you for this thoughtful speech. Now we will hear the speech of the Deputy Leader of Opposition. You have 7 minutes to present your case.
Am I audible?
Yep.
All right. So for POI, you can interrupt my speech, and whether I'll accept it or not, I'll say it later. Okay. So I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges and fellow debaters. I stand before you today as the second speaker on the opposition side, stand to reject this motion, which is this House would punish parents who smoke in the presence of their children, and our stance is because we believe implementing extreme punishment is not the answer. My job as the second speaker from the opposition side is to rebut the Prime Minister and also the Deputy Prime Minister, and also to reinforce my leader of opposition's points, and also to present my own points later on. So let's jump into the rebuttal first. From the Prime Minister, well, she presented us with 3 ways to punish these smokers, which is to fine, to separate, and also to send them to rehabilitation. First and foremost, by fining these parents, it's totally understandable to punish them. But the other 2 methods of you punishing them is a bit it's not common sense for you to do that. By separating them, you say about child abuse. It's also child abuse to abandon your children in a way. So by separating them, sending them to foster care, why would you do that? That contradicts your own point of child abuse. You're abandoning your children. And also by sending them to rehab, it's the same thing. You're going to make these adults, working adults possibly, who is contributing to society to let go of their job, to let go of their children and send to a rehabilitation. It will benefit. It will bring us negative impact on a lot of other places. So, and when the prime minister said about a bad example, let's say bad example, you punishing them is also a bad example because you can see, yes, smoking is a bad thing. That is totally agreeable. But by punishing them, does it stop there? Because the children is already exposed, and also instead of punishing them, there are multiple other methods that could prevent the smokers to do what they're doing right now, which is smoking in front of the children. So I'll be providing you the alternatives later on. And from the Deputy Prime Minister, uh, he did say he acknowledged about our breach of privacy and also legal consistency. And from the child abuse point, your point of child abuse, you say that smoking is a child abuse, is a form of child abuse. Well, if you let them, if you punish or hold on. So if you let this go through, if you punish them with the methods that you gave them, that you have gave, it will make these smokers turn into much more hidden ways. They will try to make it more underground, hidden rooms, which it's harder for legal enforcers to take action to the smokers, which is what our prime minister already said about the legal inconsistency. And when you say about something about neglecting, yes, but is punishing the correct answer to this question? And by when you said about secondhand smoke and the dangers of it, I do acknowledge that it's really dangerous for children. But again, is punishing put a stop to this secondhand smoke and to smoking altogether? So that's the end of my rebuttal. And so my first point is the consequences that is unintended by punishing the smokers. So let's begin by examining the unintended consequences that could arise if we were to punish parents. First, like what I stated before, it will drive this behavior of smoking underground, hidden, much more hidden. Uh, so it will be a concern that these measures may push this behavior further underground. It's even hard in the first place to even punish them. So when this method of that you suggested will make this even harder to even enforce this punishment that you say that. And also it will happen in an enclosed space where that children cannot witness it. Or well, they can witness it because they're in the same, for example, a house. It is a breach of privacy, and also entering a person's house is also a breach of privacy. So it's really hard for you, for the enforcer. And instead of this fostering open, instead of punishing this, we from the opposition side would like to give you an alternative method, which is to bring in, uh, to give awareness and education to these smokers. Well, in by education and awareness, it's like invest in education campaigns to inform parents about the dangers of smoking in front of their children. And while many parents may not fully understand the risk, and also providing them with information that can empower them to make healthy choice for their families, let's say you present this awareness, you make the children aware. These children can bring this information to the parent, and you know how the power of a child to when they complain about something. Let's say they are a loving parent and they are smoking as well. If you present this facts from these children bring up facts about, and they also have asthma, all right, the parents will be aware and they will try to gradually stop. So it's a natural way of method. It happened naturally, and it happens without without any force, and also by programs like smoking is addicting. It's an addictive habit, and quitting is definitely not easy. So rather than punishing parents, we should make like smoking cessation programs that is readily available and accessible. Like what we see in public hospitals and clinics nowadays, where they have programs or like counseling areas for the smokers to start their process of stopping their addiction to smoking. And these programs can provide parents with the tools and support they need to quit smoking voluntarily. That is the most important part, voluntarily. And by addressing the root of this problem, we can help parents to make positive changes in their lives. And also, another thing that I would like to mention is preserving parental autonomy. Well, it is essential to respect parental autonomy while addressing this issue, and parents should have the freedom to make decisions within their households as long as they do not cause significant harm to the children. And by punishing parents for smoking may set a precedent that could lead to the government intrusion into other aspects of family, which is a concerning slippery slope, like what you suggested, bring separating them from the child, and also bringing them to rehabilitation, which um, lengthen the distance between the children and the parents. And in conclusion, while we share the concerns about children's health and well-being, we firmly believe that punishment is not the solution, and instead we propose a more compassionate and practical approach to this problem here. And by educating parents, offering smoke cessation programs, and what I've stated before, I think it will be a much more better way to prevent this from happening. And I, as the deputy leader of the opposition, stay opposed. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for the insightful speech. We will now welcome the government whip to speak. All right, a moment.
Yeah, I have to switch my device first. Something wrong with my device. So, yeah, can you add me back? I mean, change to my phone.
All right,
Change to my phone.
please give a time, some minutes to the judge for him to change the device.
Okay, hello.
Yes,
Okay, we can proceed.
all right, continue. Let's continue our debate. So, now we will now welcome the government whip to speak.
Hello, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Dia from the Government Whip, and today it's a very interesting topic I would like to say. So first and foremost, I would like to pick from the opposition side. They keep from my government side. We are trying to protect the children. When the opposition side fails to do that, they keep saying about the punishment. First of all, why did we punish person in the first place? To protect both sides. This is not a Disney movie or some fairy tale. When we already warned them and they was like, okay, we will stop it. But no, it's human is very complicated. And by just warning them and keeping them it won't work. Let me just give you a more easier example. Let's say if you didn't do your homework and your teacher warned about it and you keep not doing your homework, doesn't work because that's how humans mind do. They are very some of human can be very, I would say, stubborn. So by punishing them, this is one of the best methods we can use to make them stop doing the things. So I know in theories from the parent side, it is difficult to ask the parent to stop smoking immediately. But at the least they can do is refrain themselves from smoking in front of their children. We are all aware that children are very weak and fragile than us. They are still developing. Parents, as from what my deputy prime minister said, that parents should have more common sense by not smoking in front of them, which is the least they can do. And why? But then they still fails to do that. We understand that parenting can be stressful and some of them may be smoking as a coping mechanism. But if they are doing that, then there still fails to protect their children. The leader opposition also says that she fails to understand what's the meaning by smoking in front of the children. She keeps saying the privacy when we doesn't mean that we have to like invade your house and look if you're smoking or not. No, our what we are highlighting here is smoking in front of the children, not smoking in the house. So my house stands that punishing parents who smokes in front of the children in order to protect both sides, the children and the parents themselves. Why are we doing this to protect parents, you must ask? This is simply because if the children get sick, they have to use their own money from their own healthcare. From the what the deputy leader deputy leader opposite says that hold on. Okay, that parents aren't abusing the children. What do you mean by that? If they're not parents, they're not abusing the children, then what exactly they are doing? As what my deputy prime minister already defined about the abuse, and which the deputy, which the other side fails to understand what they're meaning by that. Okay, so here I already have a lot of evidence why smoking in front of the children is bad, and I can see that the opposition side didn't have any evidence at all to state that it's okay to smoke in front of the children. They didn't even have any solution to how to stop smoking in front of the children. Therefore, studies here's some static. There's a statistic shows that almost 13 to 14% children become an avid smoker at such a young age. To the fact that we know how easily children can get influenced. Like from what my prime minister said before, my deputy's prime minister said before, children can get easily influences. And from what my prime minister also says that monkey see, monkey do. So I want to ask exactly, or maybe if I'm wrong, why the opposition sides are so selfish? Why didn't they want to protect the children? We're all aware that if the parents fails to protect the children, then who will protect his innocence? From what my observation here, and I can see clearly, they keep saying that if they send the parents to the, or if they find the parents, or if they send the parents away from the children, it's going to affect the economy and all. So if you think affecting the economy, or maybe if I hear it right, if they can buy the cigarettes, then why can they make any better solution for it? Yes. So this is why I can refute and state that this house punish parents who smoke in front of the children to protect the both side of them. We are here to protect both sides of them because we know the children will become the second-hand smoker. Just because the parents smoking in front of them, not smoking in the house. I can understand. Maybe if the parents have their own room to smoke, it's fine. But our problem here, why would the parents smoke in front of the children instead of smoking away from the children? There's also a study made by Healthy Children or Origins and American Academy of Pediatrics and section on tobacco controls in 2017. A lot of statements and news, a lot of studies made that there isn't any good things about smoking in front of the children. And you keep saying about privacy, about the humans' right. This is a human's right because we know smoking is bad. It's same as we do drugs in front of the children. It's same things, but the different thing, but they must make the difference between the drug abuse and the smokers then. So as we can see here, my Prime Minister defines what the means of punish, which the opposition sides keep trying to use it as our own weakness. I think they do not understand what the means of punishment and why we punish in the first place. Therefore, our house stands here that let me recite it again. This house stands punishing parents who smoke in front, I repeat again, in front of the children in order to protect all of them. So we are punishing them to protect them. This is what our group are trying to say, and this is what we are trying to find the best solution. Thank you very much. That's all.
All right, thank you for the insightful speech. We will now welcome the government whip. We will now welcome the opposition whip to speak.
Am I audible?
Yes.
You're audible. And if there's any POI, I would like to first of all start with the hand raise, and if I do not respond, please tell me in the chat or directly interrupt me like POI. Just say the word POI, I'll stop right there. Okay. So that's it. I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Good evening, Region Judge Mr. Anis, my fellow teammates of the opposition and the government side. My name is Srivardhan and I am the whip opposition. Today, as my responsibility, I will be rebutting all of the opposition government's points, and I will support my own opposition team's points. And first of all, I have to reinstate the motion where we are fully not going to support the motion, which is to punish parents if they smoke in the presence of children. Let me reinstate the motion here. Everyone for the government has been talking or actually reinstating the wrong motion. They say in front, in front, in front. In front does not equal to presence. There is a difference. There is a difference between presence and in front. They have to understand the word presence itself. That means you are in the surroundings, which means you are not going to be beside them or you are not going to be facing them. They are only going to be in the surroundings. Okay. First of all, now my leader actually stated that breach of privacy. Why breach of privacy? Just to assume that if we are going to let this smoking occur in anywhere else, is fine. Okay, as long as it's in the allocated spaces and you let the children be around them, not beside them. They say presence. I repeat, presence, not in front, which means the secondhand smoking has nothing to do here, because if the secondhand smoking has something to do, our laws already implied that if you are in the eateries and you're going to eat, just assume to say that you are going to eat that at least 2 meters away from the shop, you could smoke. If our government has agreed to that, why not this? You could just place your children around in your eyesight and you can smoke here. Okay? And as well as to tell that they have no rights to actually probe into someone's houses. Yes, if assuming to say you punish to extreme points. As I can say, our stance here, I will repeat on my stance here to say that we, as the opposition, believe that extreme measures is not an answer for all these punishments. Okay? Because if you are going to punish them in the outside, how are you even going to know if they won't repeat the same thing inside as well? Another one, legal consistency, the better legal efforts for all. We could act more civilized. Okay? Why do we have to go much more in punishments? If you're going to punish all the persons outside, okay? Just to think about it, how many punished acts has been, everyone in that has already been a better person. Think about it. Summons has been given to speed driving, drunken drivers, and still it occurs. Punishment, as you can put as much as you can, but it still does not reinforce or tells that it will curb or help the parents from not smoking in front of the children. And from the opposition deputy leader, that opposition deputy leader also said that he also reinforced telling that sending parents forcibly into rehabilitation, and it actually contradicts to the second speaker's point itself. He said the negation of a child's need. One of the child's need is to actually have the parents beside them. If you send it to rehabilitation, what's the point of it at all? And instead of that, you can have alternative methods through campaigns and education. If you can say punishment does not, punishment will work, how about try this, a more civilized method? Why and so? We can also say that it invites unprecedented events. Because if one parent is actually going to smoke outside, there could be a kidnapping occur and so on. Do you know that how much of kidnapping occurs in the past 3 years itself? There's total of 1,509 kids has been missing since then. And already 300 of them are presumed dead because they haven't been found. Okay? Now, to rebut all the points, the Prime Minister actually stated that the parents are the role model to children, and she also stated the point where teenagers will follow people outside that will imitate to be cool. This is a topic for parents, not for teenagers outside or anywhere else. Okay, we ran out of topic. You should remind of that. Plus, you have to understand, even though it's a role model, this is a hot water situation. The same egg that goes inside the hot water turns hard, and the same potato that goes inside the hot water turns soft. So this is much more of a moral education itself. If you can say that parents are going to do this, smoking in front of them, I'm not saying that you should punish them, but at least give them in a much more civilized way where they can actually smoke in freedom and be around their children, around in the sense of being in the presence, not in front, I repeat. And they also say that the children's mental health would be affected here. So how much of punishment will you actually give in front of the parents? If you pull the parents away from the children, do you know how much of trauma that can cause the children? Do you know that even to say that how many single parents away from the children, those children are really going through a major amount of trauma in their lives themselves. Look up that first. And the Deputy Prime Minister also said that it's a common sense not to smoke in front of children. I repeat again, it's not in front, it's presence, it's not in front as well. Okay, smoke can disrupt neighboring houses. It's a smoke, it's a cigarette butt or vape. You are not going to open fire then. The smoke does not affect the outside neighborhoods. And he also stated that smoking in front of a child is abuse. Well, I don't understand how is this an abuse actually. Okay, secondhand smoking can actually be prevented very easily because to state that most of the top countries of secondhand that smokes a lot is Kiribati, Nauru, and Greece. But the countries that effect in secondhand smoking a lot is the Asian countries, which is one of the strictest countries, is China and the Middle East. With all the laws reinstated, how are they still there? With all this said, there's also much more problems in the blue light from screens and much more harmful to the eyesight and the brain development. Why are we not having that? Why are not children's not parents not punished for giving phones to the children? And with this, I would like to reinstate my motion to say that is how I would thoroughly against this motion to say that this house is punishing parents that smoke in front of children is something very wrong. And I could say that in the stance, we believe if the punishment can be as preventable or as easily to be said implementing extreme punishments is not an answer for all of this. I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. That concludes the main speeches of this debate. Now, we will move on to the replying speech, which each team will summarize their main arguments and rebuttals in 4 minutes. Position side may start first.
Hello, testing. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, Bismillah. Hopefully the line goes well. Okay, so I'll be starting in 3, 2, 1. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A wise man once said that it is better to debate a question without settling it than to settle a question without debating it. So once again, Assalamualaikum and greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I, as the first speaker, hold the responsibility to summarize this debate to show why it should be in the favor of our side of the team. Ladies and gentlemen, the reality that this point of view is debatable and there are continuing conversations concerning children that should be noted. While everyone frequently raises issues with alleged advantages or disadvantages in smoking, parents' rights and experiences must be taken into account when discussing these issues, as well as other people's concerns and points of views. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have proven, the opposition side have proven that we do in fact care about the children more than you know. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, the opposition side has clearly stated a proper way to handle the exposure of secondhand smoke to children. We literally have already proposed campaigns, awareness programs, and smoking rooms. These suggestions are literally there, ladies and gentlemen. We have already proposed, and this is literally a way of us showing that we care about children. And it seems that this falls into that ears today. Therefore, we clearly stand to win this debate with confidence with these points. Because let me affirm, ladies and gentlemen, this House opposed to this motion, which is this House will punish parents who smoke in the presence of their children, because we believe implementing extreme punishments is not the answers. Ladies and gentlemen, the opposition today have clearly touched everything that is necessary, from the safety of the children to the rights and privacy of parents, and basically how we solve the problems. Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you again what the points have been given again and again. From the beginning, the Prime Minister have already stated about the privacy, about the rights of the parents themselves, and by the Deputy Prime Minister, he already proposed the campaigns and awareness program. 2 problems have been solved, and then it has been re-enhanced and reinstated again by our Whip Minister. So, ladies and gentlemen, I mention this again. We in the opposition side have clearly touched everything that is necessary. We have touched all of the stakeholders today, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, the opponent today, ladies and gentlemen, the government, they have yet to explain on how they want to apply this motion. What I mean is they have not yet answered this. How do they want to execute this sort of punishment? Like, if you want to punish someone, you need law, right? Like, you are trying to punish people, in this case the parents, therefore you need laws, regulations, and a proper procedure. In that case, you will need witness. So that's why I mentioned the word privacy, breach of privacy again and again. How will you say that this parent have smoked in the vicinity of their children? You need witnesses. Who will be the witnesses, ladies and gentlemen? That's what I mentioned before, privacy, ladies and gentlemen. They have yet to tell us like how this will not breach the parents' privacy. They mention over and over about the children. Ladies and gentlemen, the stakeholder today isn't just children. It's the parent, the law enforcement themselves. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me again speak that the reality of this debate point is that the reality of this point of view is debatable, and there are continuing conversations concerning children. Yes, we took note of that. We already gave suggestions, so everything is already solid from our side of the opposition team. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we have mentioned that the stakeholder today isn't just children, it's the parents, the law enforcers, and how you want to handle everything, ladies and gentlemen. So before I end my speech, I'd like to reinstate our stance, which is we believe implementing extreme punishments is not the answer. And that is why the motion of today should be regretted. With that, we have no rooms in our hearts for hatred. We love children, and frankly, we respect your ideals, ladies and gentlemen. With that, I rest my case.
All right. Thank you for the amusing speech. Next, let's welcome the government side to deliver their replying speech. The time starts once you are ready.
I'll begin my speech at 3, 2, 1. Okay. Good day again, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, the judge. As the reply speaker, I would like to summarize all my arguments and the rebuttals that have been given by the opposition team and the rebuttals we have given back. First of all, I'd like to start with our arguments, other points that we have made already. The first point was that parents are supposed to be role models, and thus we should not be smoking in presence of the children, right? It is common sense. And previously, the whip also pointed out that we said presence. That is, the motion is supposed to be presence and not in front. Yes, I agree. It's presence, right? In presence, you mean they are in the surroundings. So do you think the child won't see the parents smoking and capture on it? Like our deputy, shit, sorry. And our prime minister, sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm very sorry. Our prime minister usually stated that the children will follow whatever the parents do. It doesn't matter if they're doing in front or the presence, the child will see. Like the whip replied, at least gave us a rebuttal that the kidnaps are happening because when you leave a child alone, it's going to get kidnapped, right? So it should be in front of the parents, right? Let's say, for example, they're out, the parents is out, and the kids are left in front of the presence, in front of their eyes, but left alone, but farther away. Does that mean they won't see those smoking actions and they won't follow that in the future? And what is the promise that they won't do this in the house itself? And that is today's argument on today's motion, that the governments are debating that the parents could do this in the faces in front of the child in their home. That contradicts to the privacy that they've stated by the leader of deputy leader of opposition, where privacy is important. Yes, I agree, privacy is very important. But this could also lead to secretive stuff, like parents who do this could harm them, to abuse them by this. When you said how does this one is defined as abusing, right? As they clearly mentioned that the meaning of abuse is basically ignoring your children, neglecting a child's need. A child's need is a safe and a healthy environment. So by smoking in the presence or in front, let's say in the house where the privacy is needed, it could be done in anywhere, right? And also, I would like to state that the whip also mentioned that no, sorry, not the whip. The deputy prime minister, the replying speech, the leader of opposition said that proposing campaigns. We already do have those campaigns running around in our country, right? I'm pretty sure you've all seen national TVs, and we already have those campaigns going around that they actually promote not to smoke in front of children. Then why is it not working? And why are we still discussing about this topic? Why are we still discussing on this motion? This should be opposed. That's why this government is still talking about this motion, and that's our government actually agrees that we should punish parents who smoke in the presence of their children. And our second point was the health context, which I've already explained as the child abuse, where the child are neglected. And also, yes, the previous one I wanted to mention just now was the punishment that we were going to apply. I would say that the deputy leader of opposition also said that the campaigns that we were stages we were taking are very extreme and going to harm and abuse the children in a mental state. I disagree. We never said we're going to bully them or separate them completely. And also, he mentioned that we're not going to disturb their lives completely. We're not going to separate them from the society at all as a contributing in the economy. We're just going to give them day-to-day rehabilitation based on their needs and their timetable and the schedule. We won't be separating them unless there's an extreme case of child abuse or cases in the children's. And that's all I would like to rest my case. And before that, I would like to reaffirm our government's case that we stand and we agree that this house would punish parents who smoke in the presence of the children. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you to everyone present for making this debate session a success. That concludes today's debate session on topic this house would punish parents who smoke in the presence of their children. I would like to thank both teams for their excellent performances today. Now, let's give some time for the judge to calculate overall marks and announce the winner of today's debate.
Moment, please.
Mr. Anis, are you ready for the announcement?
A moment, yeah, wait 1 minute only. I'm filling in the form. Wait,
All right, sure.
okay, I
Take your
can
time.
ready. Okay. Um, right. Good day, everyone. Okay, as for today's motion, okay, before everything, I would like to congratulate both teams for doing your best in presenting your arguments and all such an insightful debate for everyone. That is for me. Okay. Um, as for today's motion, okay, which is this house would punish parents who smoke in presence of their children. Okay. As, as the educator of the day. Okay. This motion is to fall. Okay. Or basically, the winning team goes to the opposition. Opposition team. Okay. Congratulations to the opposition team. Okay. The motion is rejected. Okay. With a margin of 4. Okay. With a margin of 4. And the best debater is opposition with okay, Sri Bharathan. Okay. Right. Comments again. For comments for the feedbacks for today's debate. Again, for those who have been, with me as the judge, POIs, we really need, it needs POIs, so, or else it will be like just a presentation of arguments and that's it, There's no like, there's no discussion over or argument between both sides. So we need POIs. Okay. So next round, I hope there will be POIs. So far, I think based on my notes, there are only 2 POIs, and but in fact one is not entertained by teams by the teams. Okay, so please next round try to POI so that you know the debate it's even livelier, and you can somehow discuss about the arguments better. Yeah. And then next would be um okay, this is on my notes. Motion, definition of motion. So that is why we really need to define keywords inside the motion, which today we can see in this debate. At least we can see only certain parts of the motion are defined. Okay. I know it is not that compulsory to define all, but that is the effects of not doing it. So some are missing, some of not some of I would say debaters among the debaters there might be one or two of you miss out, like your team did not define it and then take it differently from the motions of the day, especially for the word in the present just now. Okay, that is one thing. And then yeah, I think the government only presented on the word punishment. Okay, punish. In fact, in the motion, the word actually is punish. Yeah, so you know, it's a different thing at the very basic level. Okay, so that's why we need to somehow look at every single keyword that we have. The stakeholders in this promotion, there are two actually, parents and children, and I believe none, none somehow present at what age and all. Okay, so it gives a loophole for both sides here to attack one another. Okay, so better definition next time. Better ways of defining your motion. Okay, right. I think that's it for me. Okay, thank you.
Thank you to the judge for announcing the result and giving feedbacks. With margin 4, best debater Sri Bharathan. And today's motion, which is this house would punish parent who smoked in the presence of the children, is rejected. Congratulations to the opposition for winning this debate, and well done to the government team for putting up a good fight. That marks the end of our session. Thank you for your attentiveness and attention. Thank you so much.
Can